Guys, listen. What would you say if I told you that a game just came out that I'm super excited about? What if I said it was a game I couldn't wait to sink my teeth into? A game I will utterly destroy top to bottom, relishing in every sweet moment. A game that I've been waiting over half my life to play, over 2 decades. A game that works so well that I wish it had come out long ago, and it makes me so happy I could just cry. What game could it be? If you figured it out, say it with me now. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is here, and it absolutely rules, my friends! Kirby! Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Backlogged, the show where I finish the games in my own backlog in order to help you figure out what to do with yours. Sorry for the freak out a minute ago, but you've got to understand a couple things here, okay? I love Kirby. It was my first favorite video game ever, and I love this little force of destruction so much. Also, this game that we're talking about today, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, is almost the 30-year anniversary of Kirby, and it's the first 3D Kirby game. Seriously, we've had a couple experiments before, but this is the first time we have full 360 movement with Kirby's platforming and regular abilities intact, and it's wonderful. I am absolutely adoring it, but at this point I'm using up a lot of time just on the introduction, so let's not waste any more. Let's jump right into Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Here we go. So look, Kirby is very important to me. Yes, I played lots of video games before I dove headfirst into their depths, and many of them had nothing to do with Kirby. I had my Marios, my Donkey Kong Countries, my licensed games, and I liked most of them. But when I was little, games were hard in a way that modern games don't imitate. Yes, we have certain hard games that, like the idiot I am, I bought, so now I will have to finish them for this show someday. But, have you been to an arcade? They are really different now, but one truth holds firm. Those games want your money, and will do what they have to do to keep you inserting your tokens. Back then, they often did this by giving you a small pool of lives and cranking up the difficulties, so if you ever wanted to see the end, you had to pay for continues. Once the arcade could come home thanks to home console gaming, it took quite a while for developers to drop these punishing practices. In a lot of ways, Kirby was the first to figure out that we didn't need the games to be so hard. While Zelda and Metroid gave us password and battery saves for our games, Kirby added ease of gameplay. It was designed to be easier than other games so that everyone could enjoy it, no matter how much experience they had with video games. That's a huge reason it was my first favorite game. Specifically, while I didn't beat the game until years later, Kirby's Adventure for the NES was the only game I had for a long time that I didn't feel the need to ask for help to play. Because, yes, I was the little brother who was either scared or frustrated by every game and would cry to my big brother for help, which, didn't usually work. Fast forward a few years and Kirby gave me another first. Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards was the first game I bought with my own money. I spent a lot of time with that one, and while I liked it a lot, I was just a bit disappointed that I was still stuck only going back and forth. Gaming in 3D was a big deal then, and I wanted to see what Kirby would be like if it played like Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time. But aside from Kirby Air Ride, a racing game for the GameCube, and Kirby Blowout Blast, a 3D game for the 3DS that had no copy abilities, he never went full 3D in his traditional gameplay style. I'm not complaining, really. All of the Kirby games are really fun. But now, in 2022, we have Forgotten Land, and Kirby's doing Kirby things in 3D finally, and it's so wonderful! Right, this is a story section. Like a lot of Nintendo's properties, there's not a ton to know here. Kirby's just riding around on his Warp Star, having a grand old time, when a vortex suddenly opens in the sky, sucking him, his friend Bandana Waddle Dee, and dozens of regular Joe Schmo Waddle Dees through to a mysterious world full of overgrown skyscrapers, a land that looks very much forgotten. I've heard that somewhere before. Anyway, the Waddle Dees get nabbed by these baddies called the Beast Pack. Then Kirby bumps into a new friend, some sort of fairy mouse thing called Elfilin, and they buddy up to save the Waddle Dees. Clean, simple, very Kirby. Yes! This is exactly what I wanted! I know everything is going open world these days, Zelda, Sonic, Dark Souls, kinda, and I'd love to see what that looks like for Kirby, but an open world just seems like the wrong choice for my best video game friend. This game is Kirby in every way, just running around in 3D. Perfect. Especially these days, the last few standard Kirby games just hit the sweet spot for me, with the exception of Star Allies, but that's a talk for another day. So what does that mean? How does Kirby play? Well, Kirby is a platformer that revolves around swallowing and copying enemies' abilities to use in simple combat and puzzles. 95% of the time, Kirby is not hard by any standards, but even though that makes it sound boring, it's just not. Kirby's adorableness makes everything look and sound amazing, and the gameplay is really solid. There's actually a lot to do in a Kirby game. There's always collectibles throughout the stages, often needed for progress and unlockables. There's always a few mini-games, which lately have been so good they made whole new games out of them. Plus, the copy abilities are the main draw of Kirby, and they always mix things up with a couple new ones. So, Forgotten Land is the same, with some small but significant twists. Yes, 3D movement is the biggest, and yes, there's a new gun ability for Kirby. Don't worry, it's a cartoon gun, and they call it Ranger Kirby because this game is for the kids, and mature 30-year-old men, like me. There are 2 sets of collectibles in the stages, with Waddle Dees being the end goal of each stage, as well as hidden in the stages and rewarded for completing specific tasks. And there's also little capsule toys for characters and objects in the game, just for fun. Waddle Dees are very much the most important, as they are necessary to unlock boss stages and features in this little hub area. That's the familiar stuff. There are 2 all-new features in this game, and they don't sound too impressive, but they serve to give this Kirby game an identity beyond Kirby in 3D. The most obvious is the new Mouthful mode. It's been prominently featured in ads for the game and gives Kirby some new abilities by half swallowing, probably choking himself if we're being honest, and using very large items including cars, vending machines, and giant traffic cones. Kirby looks pretty stupid wrapped around a car, and I am here for it. It is hilarious and adorable, and so perfect for Kirby. Also, eventually the game lets you enhance the various copy abilities, making them stronger and giving you new options for combat. I haven't done much with these yet, but I saw them show off Dragonfire Kirby. Guys, I need Dragonfire Kirby. I need it. Kirby's flippin' awesome, you hear me? Awesome! I gotta be honest here, this game has made me so happy. No, it never went past the point of being a normal Kirby game, just in 3D, but the best games, especially from Nintendo, add just enough new stuff to keep the game fresh, but don't change things to the point of making it feel like a different game. There were lots of ideas here that just felt so clever and fun. Not that there's much to spoil in a Kirby game, but minor spoilers here. I gotta take a minute to highlight some of my favorite parts. The best levels I've encountered so far were in Wondaria Remains. This is an abandoned theme park, and is more fun than going to Disney World. You know, because you can just smash your way past the lines. Nobody's stopping Kirby. He will mess you up. But really, there's this one level specifically that uses that car mouth ability multiple times with a time goal to beat to save those poor Waddle Dees. That first one is real easy, but the second one, I just had to go back and do it again. I knew immediately when I didn't make the fastest time exactly what to do. Ignore the proper route and take some shortcuts. And that did the trick. It wasn't hard to figure out or do, but it was just tricky enough to make me feel good for figuring it out. And check out the secret room from that same level. You see the setup here. Car, track, same stuff you just did. But look at that fastest time! 5 seconds? That's crazy! Oh, but wait. Cracks in the pavement and a cone. I wonder... yep, there's the switch! There's my shortcut and boom! Nailed it! This is what I love about Kirby. It's never frustrating, but it makes me feel smart when I figure things out. Okay, so I've been gushing on and on and on about this game. Let's take a small break to cover some disappointments, because I do try to be honest about things I don't like, even in games I love. So the first thing I noticed was that visually everything looks great, but there's some weird frame rate stuff going on. Yes, the frame rate dips when things get real crazy, that's not too surprising on the Switch, but the further away an enemy or moving object is, the lower its frame rate. You can even see this on the title screen very clearly, and I get it, I think, but it's very distracting. Also, Kirby's mini-games from Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, things like Kirby Fighters, were so good they made proper games out of them. Kirby Fighters got 2! The minigames in Forgotten Land, while a decent distraction, do not have that level of quality. You got a quick picture matching game, QTE fishing, and a motion-based ball roller. Don't get me wrong, they're not bad, but I definitely don't want to see a Kirby's Extreme Fishing game. Oh well, that's all small potatoes really, because there are tons of tiny little touches that make Waddle Dee Town worth poking and prodding for details. For example, Kirby has a book in his house advertising his recent outings across the 3DS, Wii U, and Switch, all worth playing, FYI. You can climb on top of his house to enter through the chimney. You can bring Fire Kirby in, light his fireplace, and get some star coins. There's a bunch of shiny spots you can reach to find more star coins. Oh, this isn't in the town, but I was ashamed of myself for missing this one quest in a level, where you find a little pool in a secret area with coins and stuff scattered about, and a sleeping enemy. If you swallow that guy, you get Sleeping Kirby, which usually is used to punish you for making a poor choice, as you see finally demonstrated by myself here. But there was a quest for napping by the pool! I totally should have caught on to that! There's little details like that all over, and they often lead to each level's quests. Okay, now let's dive into my new favorite mechanic, upgrading the copy abilities. Now look, Kirby games have been coming up with new clever ways to make Kirby feel powerful. Take Return to Dreamland's Mega abilities. Very cool. However, here you can collect blueprints in various levels that you can take back to town to a smithy, Waddle Dee, to upgrade your normal copy abilities. You'll want all the star coins you can find for these, and you'll want to do these challenge levels called Treasure Roads to get rare stones, also necessary for the upgrades. They're pretty fun too, and they even teach you some of the best ways to use your skills. But once you have all the stuff, you can get your permanent upgrades, and let me tell you, my jaw dropped several times at the raw power on display here. I don't want to spoil it, but they add abilities to each copy ability that change how you use them, and bring Kirby's wrath upon all who oppose him. Since I mentioned it earlier though, I can safely say, Dragon Fire is my favorite. Purple flames that stay lit on the ground and enemies, a long fiery dragon glide, and huge reach to boot is just the best! I was beating mini-bosses way faster than I knew was possible, and it felt incredible! Go, my beautiful pink puffball, and conquer all! No one can match thy might! Look, all you guys wondering why Kirby was the only one to survive the beginning of World of Light in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Just trust me, it makes perfect sense. Okay, so as I write this, I've beaten the game, and I've exited the honeymoon phase. So after hyping up Kirby like crazy, allow me to ground this review a bit. This is a typical Kirby game. Yes, the new features give this game a personality all its own, and that is well worth it. Honestly, I think there may be a secret boss and maybe ending, and I can't wait to jump back in, go completionist on it, and see what I can find. If you're a fan of Kirby games, you'll have a blast with this one. If you're not, this game is not too likely to change your mind. Without any spoilers, the ending was wild and crazy, the most anime Kirby's ever been, including in the anime. I love how Kirby's games end now with a messed up borderline nightmare boss and a massive display of Kirby's power. I don't think this one quite matches up to Triple Deluxe or Superstar, but it's another great game for Kirby, perfect for some simple, unthinking fun. Seriously, don't think about this game too much, you'll get nosebleeds. It makes no sense. Wait a minute, this just in? Yep, it's official, the honeymoon is back on! After seeing the credits, I hopped back on to clean up some unfinished business, and there's way more to do! Sorry if that's more of a spoiler than you want, but that's all I want to say. Kirby just keeps on giving me more and more fun, more goals to chase, more to do all the time! I'm likely going to keep using this for my break times in between gameplay and video production for a while. Woohoo! So I'd say that sums things up pretty well. This game is very much a Kirby game. Yes, it's in 3D for the first time, and that's very cool, but it almost works too well. It doesn't bring a whole lot of new ideas to the table. If you've never been into Kirby before, this game's probably not going to change your mind. I will say, Mouthful mode is absolutely hilarious and awesome. But it's the upgrades to the copy abilities that really make this game feel special and give it its own identity. The co-op, I did try the co-op a little bit. It's fun, but the Bandana Waddle Dee that player 2 controls, while he does have some interesting abilities that Kirby never gets, it's not enough to make up for Dragonfire Kirby. Seriously, Dragonfire Kirby is the coolest ability Kirby's ever had outside of the Smash Bros. Games. Almost. Because after you beat the game and get the true ending, you get a really, really good copy ability that's easily the best. But I'm not spoiling it for you. You're gonna have to find it on your own. So all that being said, if you've added Kirby and the Forgotten Land to your own backlog, I think that you should finish it, but keep it around. You never know when you're going to need more Kirby in your life. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you're still here, I'm going to do something special for you at the end of every video from here on out. And that is, I'm going to give you a trivia question, and the answer will be the next video game review that I put up on the channel. So here goes this week's question. What is the first platformer to star 2 title characters? I'll see you next month.